Hey, good morning. Tim here with Expert Power Wash. I got another beautiful skid back here to show you guys. I'm going to give you a full walk around and show you what's on this skid. Let's take a look. All right, here it is. This is an 8-foot workhorse skid with a bunch of customizations. Give you a quick walk around and then I'll show you all the details of the skid. So this is a truck setup. This goes in the back of a truck bed. This is probably one of our most popular skids. We build a lot of them. As you can see, we got one back there, one here, one ready to be built here. Got some of our hot water machines and then another one there. But let's take a look at this one. So this one is for Tony. We'll start over here at the pressure washer. This is one of our custom built 8 gallon a minute, 3,500 PSI gear drive units. What makes this one a little bit different than some of the typical off-the-shelf pressure washers is this one is a gear drive, and of course it's, like I said, custom built. Got the heavy-duty 1/4-inch aluminum base there. Give you a closer look at the gear drive unit. So that's the general pump. The gear drive unit there is in the middle. This one has the Honda exhaust. Another little customization here that we've done to this one is this one has the pulsar unloader, and it is block mounted. So typically the unloader is right here. So we've relocated it. We're using a 1/2-inch line. And then of course the block mount there, you can see as the unloader goes into it. So the top hose there, that's the bypass. So when you're off the gun, the pressure washer actually bypasses back into the tank. That keeps the pump cool, keeps everything circulating. The standard unloader is called a trapped pressure unloader. This one is called a flow sensitive unloader. So what I mean by that is when you pull the trigger of the gun, instead of it being a trapped pressure, the pressure is all caught up in the line. This one gently releases and you don't have that violent jolt in your hands like you do with a typical pressure washer. So that's a nice little upgrade. If you're trying to cut into a corner, when you're pressure washing, you go to pull the trigger, it just blasts into the corner. You could cause damage. It's a lot harder to use if you're in a situation where you need that kind of that precise precision washing, and this machine does it. So this will keep the battery charged if you're running your pressure washer frequently. We still recommend using a trickle charger for the battery that's in the box because that does run the soft wash system as well. So you got the gun there. And then looking into the bed of this skid, I've seen all different types of setups. What makes our stuff a little bit unique is we try to eliminate all of the noise that per se that's in the bed of the truck. And you still want to be able to take stuff out to a job site, whether that be a blower, brooms, garbage cans, whatever you may want to haul out to the job site. We don't have that crazy shelf that goes across the middle. Those are just maintenance headaches. So overall, we want to build this skid so you can work out of it, so you can maintain it, so it gives you the least amount of problems. So look at all this bed space. We have 2/3 of the bed still available. This is one of our slim aluminum fuel tanks. You can see how it just nests right in there to the side. So this fuel tank is called our EPW Slim fuel tank. This is 13 gallons. And the way that we run these here, we got the brass fuel bar, of course, and then it's plugged in the middle. This right here is an additional fuel port. And you can add another fuel bar and power another machine. So right here, this is called the rollover valve. So this is a neat little addition that we add to our fuel tanks. So when the gas splashes up, there's a little ball that's underneath there. It pushes it up and you don't have any fill leakage out of there. When it's just resting, the ball's sitting down on the bottom and it allows the fuel tank to breathe. Of course, you're seeing our full checklist there. We run every skid through multiple testing. We document it through our shop. We make sure everything is 100%. There's quite the strict guidelines that we go through to make sure that these things are absolutely perfect for you when they leave our shop. Down here, we got the 1-inch drain line. So typically this hose right here will go on the other side of that up right there once it's installed into the truck. So you're able to drain your tanks and you don't have to carry around a bunch of extra weight. You can wash your hands, you can fill buckets, you can use that as an emergency eye wash station as well. Let's take a closer look at some of the other components here in the bed of the skid. So that right there is our strainer filter. We got that mounted conveniently right there on the side. It's off the bed of the truck. It's out of the way, easy to maintain, easy to maintenance. You simply screw off the bottom there and then you're able to rinse out your filter. Of course, we are using stainless strainer filters in there. Just those little extra things that cost a little bit more, but long term it's going to last you a lot longer and be a lot easier to work with. We'll go on top here. So as you can see, that is the Whisper Wash Extreme. That has the aluminum deck. That is the surface cleaner that we prefer. This is a locking storage surface cleaner rack. Stainless steel hinges. Full high quality aluminum. We'll start over here at the first reel. So these are our brand new Expert reels. They are full frame aluminum with stainless steel internals. I've seen a lot of other reels being used recently in the soft wash industry. A lot of it is just newer guys not really knowing what to buy. But a couple things to watch out on hose reels, I'm just gonna throw this in here as a free tip, is one, you want this to be aluminum because we are working with corrosive chemicals. If you're using like a colored reel, painted black, painted gray, those are typically steel reels and they will rust out pretty quickly. So we use aluminum so that doesn't happen. And then another thing here, this is all stainless. And then this is called the manifold. So this is the pipe that runs through the reel. It's how the liquids are transferred through the reel. And again, on those cheaper reels, the painted ones and some of the other ones, they use steel manifolds on those. And that can be a huge issue when you're running corrosive chemicals through there. They typically rust and deteriorate from the inside out, so you don't really know what's going on until one day the soft wash system doesn't work. Also, we have the stainless steel swivel over here. Again, not all swivels are created equal, so it's important if you're not buying a piece of equipment from us and you're getting it from somewhere else, or you're thinking about possibly putting something like this together yourself, make sure this is one of those items you want to buy right the first time. Otherwise, you're going to have to be replacing a reel. It doesn't matter how shiny they look when they're new. Run bleach for those, they're going to be garbage in no time. So again, super high quality reels. These are spec'd out exactly the way that we want them spec'd out. Next reel here, all these reels are the same stainless steel internals, even on the garden hose, even though you don't really need all that upgraded stuff. It's nice to have a reel that's going to last a lot longer. So this is the pressure reel. We got 200 feet of pressure washer hose. This one has a ball valve swivel. It just hasn't got put on there yet. So again, 200 feet of high quality pressure washer hose. We're not using the cheap gray braided stuff. This is Fierce Jet. This is top of the line. It's rated higher. Let me see if I can get closer so you can see some of the specs right there. So typically pressure washer hose is rated for 4,000 PSI. That's going to be your working pressure. And then it has a burst rate. So the burst rate on this one is 10,625. Of course, this stuff is rated for hot water. If that's something that you want to go to later on, this hose will work for that. All right, going over to the last reel. This one is actually a 12-inch reel, and we typically have 100 feet of Flexzilla 3/4 garden hose, and we use a larger diameter hose just to make sure that you have better flow when you're filling your buffer tanks. So this has been fantastic hose. And then it comes out of the swivel there and then goes into the Hudson float valve. So there's a little valve under there. So as the water tanks fill up, it'll hit that float valve and automatically shut off your water. Again, we're using, if you look at these clamps, another little tip for you, if you buy the clamps at Home Depot or some of the other places, this part right here will be all stainless. So it'll be classified as a stainless steel clamp, but the screw right here will be zinc. So those rust out in months. So very important that even down to the smallest details like hose clamps, that whatever you do, if you're going to build something like this, make sure you use good high quality. We prefer Dixon. Give you a little tip, that's HSS. So if you want to look up those clamps, if you're putting something like this together yourself, that's what you're going to want to get on your setup. Going up to the tanks, we have 3 of our 100-gallon slim tanks. The 2 water are tied together, so that gives you a total of 200 gallons for water and then 100 gallons for chem or bleach. Let's take a look at the plumbing down here. So these are tied together, like I mentioned. We're using all high quality banjo fittings. So there's a couple other imitation polypropylene fittings out there, and we found that they're pretty brittle. They're just not really high quality fittings like we prefer. So we're using authentic banjo fittings down there. We're using the really good clamps that we get out of the UK. So get a closer look at these. So if you use like another type of clamp that you get on Amazon, those usually strip out. They have the long tail bolts on them, and they're just junk. You want something that's going to hold up. Like I mentioned, we get these out of the UK. They're quite expensive, but they do work. It's one of those things where if we find something that's going to work better, we are going to make sure that that's what we have on our builds. Here's another look at we call this the back of the skid, but it's more towards the front of the truck. So this would be right behind the cab. Look at these gussets and welds on these skids. There's a few others out there that bolt them together. One came into the shop a couple months ago. We could literally grab this bar and shake it, and this would sway. Just because over time, skids that get bolted together, I know why people do it, because it's easier to ship them. Like here's a blank skid here. We get asked this all the time, you know, can you ship your blank skids? We can, but we don't break them down for easy shipping. There's a lot that goes into these things, the gussets, the supports. If you look up underneath the shelves, that's all 1/4 inch aluminum up underneath there. We want to build these things to last, and unfortunately that's not always convenient, especially for shipping. So if you grab one of our skids and you try to shake it, it's not going anywhere. That's the way we prefer to build them. Like I said, it's not very convenient for shipping. We're not able to mass produce these per se, but each one of these skids that you buy from us is going to be solid and it's going to hold up. Here's our EPW box. We've probably got some paperwork in there. Let's see. We've got 24 DC marine grade battery. Really neat wiring. Everything is ran nice. We're using all USA grade marine wiring in there. So that's another little thing, like the hose clamps. You want to be very careful of how you set things up, your wiring, and your ability to conduct electricity and send it back and forth from the battery to the pump. A lot of the cheap wiring, like Amazon wiring, department store wiring, they have a lot of filler materials in them, and it just doesn't hold up as well. It corrodes. Our wiring that we use, like I mentioned, is USA pure copper strand. That's all the wiring that runs underneath the insulation. And if that's all full of material wire and half copper, I know why they do it. It's cheap, and it works for a little while until it corrodes up, and a lot of that wire is brittle. It breaks, falls apart. We're not doing any of that when we build a skid for you guys. We're making sure that everything is top quality. Got the 7-gallon soap tank. Then of course our Pro Mixer XL. And we have some customizations done to this skid, like I mentioned. So we've relocated the indicator light. So when you're on soap, that's going to light up. And then when you're on rinse, of course, it's going to be off. So we've relocated that up to the front. This pump we have mounted in behind here. And then we have the rinse valve back on the back side there. We're back over to the pressure washer. Give you another overview of everything that's on this skid. If you're interested in something like this, I'm going to drop my information down below. There'll be links to our website and how to book a call and talk about one of these. Every skid that we built is built with precision. We put a lot of time into these. We have a few out there now in the industry, and we want to make sure that what we're putting out is top quality. So one of the changes that we recently made is we started using a super high quality sealant. Stuff's very, very expensive. It's $491 a tub, but it works. So just little things like that. We're not afraid to add those things to our skids. We do have some cheaper skids that we do build with less components, but when we're talking pricing, it is one of the most popular questions that we get. everybody is wondering how much. And if that's the first question you're asking, you're on the wrong road. One of the first things you want to look at is build quality. And then after build quality, you want to figure out what type of budget you got, get your business set up properly, and find out how much money you have to invest in good equipment. Because I'll tell you, if you start taking some cuts and buy subpar equipment, it's going to catch up with you. It's going to cost you more than something like this that's built right, because you're going to have to replace parts. You're going to have downtime. It's just a big mess. We want to build equipment that's going to work for you guys, that's going to give you the least amount of maintenance issues. The last thing we want to do is be on the phone all day with a bunch of our skid customers because we built something and we decided that we were going to cut corners because we wanted to save you guys $30. That's not how we do it here. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching the video. I'll put all my information down below. We got lots of other videos here on the channel. Hit the subscribe button if you'd like to, so you can get notified when we post some of our other builds. There's also a bunch of shorts, some van builds, trailer builds, all kinds of different pressure wash and soft wash builds. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video.